Right now we're at the house of Dottie Hill. She's 85, she's going to be 86. She subbed at Dotson Junior High School in San Pedro, California. And right now we're going to go see what she has to say about the purpose of life. So we're going to go over and meet her right now. This is Dottie Hill.
Hi, I'm Dottie Hill, and I live here in San Pedro, and have since 1956 when we came out with our family, and it's been a good place to be. It's been a really good place to be, and a good place to find out who you are, because that's where I've done most of it. I've lived here in this house with my husband and first 2 children, and then 1 more later on, and it's definitely been a place that I know we were supposed to be at.
Excellent.
Talk about purpose.
You obviously believe in purpose, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I can't say that at the time we moved out here, I understood what I understand now about purpose. And it's taken all those years of being here and going through life and the experiences that come with being married and having a family and being in a community that that after a while you get messages. And there are people that come into your life that are there for a reason. So yes, I definitely believe in purpose.
So Dottie, aside from careers, money, and material possessions, what do you believe our true purpose in life is?
If you had asked me this 45 years ago, I would have given you a different answer. But in the time that has ensued, I have come to realize that while I didn't understand it then, everything that has happened to me has pointed to the fact that there is a purpose for my life, and I might not always know what it is, but somebody else does. And that makes me, and it's happened so many times that the purposes have been good and for my benefit or for someone else's benefit, which tells me that there is a higher power for me that decides pretty much what's going to happen, but then you have to buy into it as well.
With purpose, do you believe in over time that purpose can change? Your purpose in life can change?
Very definitely. And my own life is a good example of it. When I was 19 years old, I lived in New York City. I'm a New Yorker. I was a New Yorker. And I had just become a cadet nurse. I was in the cadet nurse corps. It was at the tail end of World War II. And I was really surprised that they had taken me in. I finished my first 9 months of training, and I had just gotten my cap. That means they think you're going to stay, and they're going to now give you the rest of the uniforms that you're entitled to. And on the first day that I wore my new dress uniform, myself and a group of girls went to the Lutheran Service Center, because I had a friend who said anybody that's in a uniform of any kind can get into the Lutheran Service Center. That's and what do girls want to do when they get something new to wear? They want to wear it.
You want to wear it.
So they said, where can we go? And I said, we can go down there. So that's what we did, all of us. And it was, we had just all gotten our caps. But during the time that we were on our little vacation that they give us after, you know, it's like being in boot camp, and you know, when you're done, they give you a couple of weeks. And during that time, VJ Day happened. And that changed everything. When we got back, everybody was still in the euphoria of there being, you know, the war is over. My husband was one of the person that became my husband was one of 5 servicemen that we 5 girls or 4 girls met down in the service center. There was nobody there but that group and us. And that was October the 6th. He pursued me. We were engaged the 23rd of December, and we were married March 10th. And that was the end of nursing. Now, that was my purpose, was to go into nursing. I then became a wife and a mother, and the rest is history. Here I am.
Why do you believe purpose changes over time?
Well, circumstances change. Okay, the war ended. Did I know it was going to end? No. But when it did end, it meant that my husband then had an opportunity to get out, because he'd been in for 4.5 years. And that was the magic number. He was able to get out. And he must have taken a shine to me. He was a fast operator. And we ended up here instead.
So Dottie, explain to me, what are some challenges, difficulties, or hardships you've had to overcome in the past, or you're currently overcoming right now?
Okay, all of those I can say now are connected with my marriage. Because in a marriage, there are so many aspects of it, and they're all challenges. And how you decide to belly up to the bar, as it were, and solve them, it takes different skills. It takes different purposes. So I went back to school so that I would have a career to help the family if something ever happened to my husband. And it took me 10 years to go through school. That's a long time to go through school. And I had 2 children when I started, and 3 children when I graduated. In between, I had another baby. That was a challenge. To keep in school, I never quit school. I never broke the pattern, which would have meant that I had to go into a different catalog. And after 10 years, I was still under the same catalog that I had, and they changed a lot of things. I remember having my 3rd child, Matthew. I had him on a Friday, and I was back to school the following Monday. There was never a break. So, and along with family life, there are the challenges that your kids bring to their lives are challenging, and the way you have to solve those. And then there are community things that are challenging. And if you are I think, a good family person, it's not just your own family that you're concerned about. You're concerned about the families around you, so that communities are good for everybody. And let's see, what else? Oh, one of the big challenges was my mother-in-law. She came out to live with us, and we took care of her after my father-in-law died. And she was part of our family. She didn't always live with us. Part of the time she did, and then she got her own an apartment. But we always cared for her, and she ate dinner with us every night. And I used to travel from Southgate to here. That was a challenge.
Yeah. Well, Dottie, tell me about a person who inspires you. Who inspires you the most?
Oh, well, I'd say Eleanor Roosevelt is kind of, she's always been somebody that, when I read about her life in a biography once, I was so amazed at what she was able to do under the circumstances that she encountered in her own life. She came from a good family. She was actually related to her husband. It was kind of a long way around, but and she was not cosmetically the most beautiful girl, but she had character, and she was a good wife to him in so many ways. She furthered his career. She was involved with good causes, and then after he died, she became a real force in the League. I was going to say the League of Nations. That's what the first one was. The United Nations. The League of Nations didn't, after the First World War, didn't do too well, but the United Nations did a lot of good, And she was kind of the voice of reason in a lot of ways there. And I've always thought, and I once read about, which surprised me, how unprepared she felt to do that work. And yet she had a firm conviction and an understanding of the fact that these things needed to be done, and by gosh, she did them. So, but she was just like any ordinary person. She was afraid lots of times, and but she went ahead anyhow. So I'd say of all the people I can think of, not only that, but she was while I was growing up as a child, President Roosevelt was the president, and he was that for 3 terms, you know. And she was in the news a lot there. And President Roosevelt's birthday was one day before mine, so that always interested me.
What difficulties do other people come to you for help with? When they're going through things in their lives, what is the most common thing that people come to you for help with?
It depends on what the relationship is that I have with them. If it's a family person, it's a different, they come to me sometimes for money, and that's not a terrible thing. I mean, we've always felt that the assets that you have in your life are there for a reason. They're not there for just you. Those are given to you to do good things with. And some of it's for you, but there's also you have to share.
They usually come to you for money?
No, not always. No. In fact, I wouldn't even say. If you needed it, you know, you could have some.
Have $5?
Yeah. You want me to take you out for dinner?
Yeah.
No, I find that's a joy in life when you can share what you have. It really is, and it's a blessing. And I think God gives. There are many people who have lots of money that spend it on good things, you know. But sometimes people come to me just to have a sounding board. They really know already what they need to know. They just want somebody to listen to them and help them to make up their mind in terms of accepting what they have. Mm-hmm. And once they've done that, it's accepting. It's a valid thing you're telling me you want to do, or maybe it's a valid thing, but have you thought of this, this, and this? And maybe they haven't. And then, because I have more experience, I can tell them those things. That's all right. So that's family.
So kind of life guidance.
Yeah. And I've done that with lots of people that are young people, because I've always been, well, for one thing, I taught for 25 years at Southgate High School, and I was the home ec teacher. And I taught parenting and child development, as well as money management and foods and management. I mean, those are all things that people recognize as being good for them to know. So they would ask me lots of things. And I love the underdog because there aren't too many people who will accept the challenge of being helpful to them. I don't know why that is, but it's true. And then I worked with my senior high fellowship in my church a lot. And I'm always interested in young people. I would rather talk to young people than older people.
So it's just really helping a lot of young people giving.
Oh yeah, and my husband my husband was the same way. In fact, he used to take a lot of the girls and the boys out to lunch, just because. And if they had things sometimes that they wouldn't talk to their parents about. And he was a good ear, a good listener. Okay, where else? Then professionally, I became an icon when I was a home economics teacher of the year for California in 1986. And so I did some pro bono work for one of the companies that where they could say that the teacher of the year says that this is so and so and such and such. And they didn't pay me for it, but they sent me a lot of nice Tupperware. It was for Tupperware. Me. Is that?
If you can get a message across to a large group of people, who would the people be and what would the message be?
That's a hard one. You'd want, if it was a really important message, you'd want to get as many people in the whole world I'm thinking the whole world. You'd want as many people to hear it, and you'd want it to be at the best time for them to be receptive to it, maybe. And I think it all boils down to, I'd want it to be maybe from the Vatican, because a lot of people listen to the Vatican, don't they, on Christmas Eve, yeah? And with what goes on during that time, even if you're not a religious, quote-unquote, person, people may be more receptive to this, to my thought. And it's my feeling that everyone has inside of them a spark of, call it goodness, call it divine being, but it's a force that makes them useful to God. And we need to develop that. I would want everyone to know that they have the power to make life better for those around them. I'm not saying that they can change the whole country, but if everybody could do what they can do right where they are, it would certainly make a difference in the world. And, you know, I heard once someone said, people may not remember what you said when you met them or when you spoke with them, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And if we can make other people feel accepted and valuable, that their opinions are worthwhile at least listening to, I think a lot of this crazy world that we have right now might be improved. Not only do we have a purpose, but there is a purpose in our having a purpose. And that makes sense to me. And so my job is just to be the best kind of person I can be where I am, whenever the time is that I need to be. And it may be simplistic, but that's the way I feel. And the more you do it, the easier it is to do. Everyone is valuable. In fact, everybody, even the people that we say, how could they do these terrible things? Everybody was somebody's baby at one time. You know, babies are pretty pure. They're not evil. They just come out into the world. So, anyhow, that's I think my take on that. Listen for the message that's in the universe for you. Find what you can do to make life better where you are, for everybody that's involved. And listen to your inner self and know that you can do it. Be all that you can be.